Chapter 1. Obama was a president with non-political roots. Nobody in Obama's family ever dreamed he would one day become president. With no political background and no early interest in the subject, Obama was focused on his family and the causes close to his heart. Obama speaks of his mother as a rebellious, yet kind-hearted and loving woman, keen to shrug convention. He often heard her talking about civil rights and the demonstrations that were going on. Having been born in Hawaii, they went to live in Indonesia for a time, where his mother often balked at the corruption she saw. Obama credits his sense of justice and fairness to his mother, who always stood up for the underdog and called out corruption. Obama puts his desire for change and fairness down to his mother's influence. She saw the world as a place that was jam-packed with new opportunities, something she passed on to her son. However, his mother was never interested in politics, and until later on, neither was he. Having grown up with little, his grandparents in Hawaii still believed he would go on to make something of himself, but nobody would have dreamed he would become president. In his teenage years, he went back to Hawaii to live with his grandparents whilst his mother remained in Indonesia for work. He puts his change of mindset down to a book sale he encountered at that time. He became obsessed with reading all the books he found, and this began his political interest and later awakening. What did capture my attention was something broader and less conventional. Not political campaigns, but social movements, where ordinary people joined together to make change. Barack Obama. Obama attended Columbia University, where he applied himself diligently. He focused on his favorite idea of what America stood for, that everyone was equal and nobody was singled out. He eventually went to Harvard Law School, where he graduated and completed his education. Obama's view of America was a country where nobody was considered less than anyone else. Chapter 2. A Meeting of Soulmates. Michelle Obama was just 25 years old when she first met her future husband. Then, named Michelle Robinson, she was studying law and working as an associate in Chicago. Obama went to the same firm to work during the summer. During his first year at Harvard Law School, Michelle was asked to keep an eye on him and help him settle in. They quickly became friends, which turned into something deeper. Michelle was, and still is, a very firm woman who refused to budge during disagreements and arguments. This is what caught Obama's eye. Whenever he told her about a plan he had, and he had several, she never blinked or looked shocked, and she simply backed him and told him that he should do whatever he needed to do. His first plan was to move back to Chicago full-time and work both in law and community work. He wanted to specialize in civil rights. Michelle's strength and support has been key to Obama's success. Despite schemes that most never thought would work, she stood by his side. In 1992, Michelle and Obama married. During this time, Obama still didn't have an eye on politics, and instead wanted to focus on helping others through civil rights. In 1997, Michelle became pregnant with the first of their two daughters, Sasha and Malia. He thought about scaling things back and being home more, perhaps writing. But his dreams wouldn't abate, and his interest in politics was starting to grow as the Democratic Party started to have more success. He saw this as an opportunity to make meaningful change. It was at this time he decided to start a bid to run for the U.S. Senate. Typically, the biggest challenge for a freshman senator in Washington is getting people to pay attention to anything you do. I ended up having the opposite problem. Barack Obama. Chapter 3. Making the impossible possible. Obama never went into politics wanting to be president, and he never believed it would happen. These days, many people pat him on the shoulder and say they always knew he was going to reach the pinnacle, but he was never sure himself. It wasn't until the early part of 2006 that the idea became something to take seriously. His Senate office was bombarded with requests from the media, and everyone wanted to know more about this young, charismatic newcomer. After carefully checking the polls and weighing all the options, they realized that Obama was one of the most likely Democratic candidates to be chosen as presidential candidate. Obama vowed that the only way he would agree to it is if he could do it to help everyone view the country differently and allow minorities to feel as valued as everyone else. Obama focused on equality and a desire for everyone to feel valued. He wanted to change America for the better, making this a key part of his campaign. His bid to become the Democratic candidate began in Springfield, in the exact same spot where Lincoln had launched his own campaign. He didn't expect crowds, but almost 15,000 people arrived. In this first speech, he talked about the main points of his campaign: to focus on changing healthcare, climate change, and working to bring everyone together. During the campaign, he was running against Hillary Clinton, and he admits he made mistakes, but he worked hard. He used this platform and his skin color to shout out to people that we are all the same, we are all equal, but came up against many barriers along the way. At the end of the campaign, he was named Democratic candidate for the presidential campaign of 2008, running against John McCain. He quickly found that finding the number of required votes wasn't just about the key points in his manifesto, but also about whether Americans would be comfortable with an inexperienced black and young president. Obama's battle against McCain was focused on whether America was keen to take a chance and move towards a new direction. Although he lacked experience, Obama more than made up for it in passion. He chose the experienced Joe Biden to be his running mate. Although they were polar opposites in character and experience, he felt Biden gave him a balance that nobody else could. He also saw the kindness and genuine desire for change in his eyes. Having suffered more than his fair share of heartache, with the loss of his first wife and daughter in a car accident, and then his son, Beau, later in life, Biden understood the need for kindness and empathy more than anyone. After all the votes were counted, Obama comfortably won the election over John McCain, becoming the 44th President of the United States. Chapter 4. A Baptism of Fire in the Oval Office. Obama's first visit to the Oval Office was when departing President George Bush invited him for a tour of the White House. As is customary for new president-elects, the Oval Office is smaller than most people assume it to be, but it lets in a huge amount of light and is a very important and grand space. Obama spent a large amount of time in that room during his 2 terms and never took its traditions for granted. Obama saw the Oval Office as a place where democracy stood firm. Obama views the Oval Office as a symbol of democracy, reminding him of his commitment to the American people. Obama's first task as president was to oversee a disastrous economy. Unemployment was sky high, and markets and banks were on the brink of total collapse. Fast action was needed, and that's what happened. At the same time, Obama was forming his team and was keen to heal divides that occurred during the race for candidacy. As such, he chose to bring on board Hillary Clinton as his Secretary of State. During the first month after taking office, he managed to pass the Recovery Act in an attempt to soothe the economy and bring about recovery. This wasn't to occur for a while, but the fast action showed that Obama didn't intend to work slowly. This was quickly followed by the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Within the first month of his presidency, Obama passed 2 key acts to help rebuild a struggling economy. During this time, Michelle and the children settled in quickly to the White House, with the girls often baking cookies with the kitchen staff and running around the halls. Michelle focused her attention on a campaign to tackle child obesity and helping military families. Whilst working in office, Obama found that with his family living in his place of work, he needed to have a high-quality home and work-life balance, spending time with his wife and children. Chapter 5. Learning to Navigate International Summits. Throughout his 2 terms in office, Obama learned how to handle the boredom and often long-winded speeches that accompanied international summits. Despite their importance, he found that leaders were often subjected to routines throughout these summits, which not only wasted time, but cut into important business. Obama quickly found that international summits were not glamorous, and instead used them as opportunities to conduct secondary business discreetly with other leaders. Obama compares these summits to the flashlights that accompany Hollywood premieres, although once inside, everything is decidedly unglamorous. However, as he became more experienced, he learned to take extra paperwork with him to complete when things became mundane, and he also became a pro at working on other business with leaders when someone else was talking too long. However, at his first summit in London, he chose to play the rookie. He listened to everything, diligently focused, and understood that all eyes would be on him. He figured that by showing a little humility in this way, he may inaugurate himself more kindly with other leaders. By doing that, he hoped to be able to get further economic plans and measures through without much resistance. Paying attention and sizing up foreign leaders at his first international summit helped Obama work out the best strategy for dealing with them individually. Throughout many meetings with foreign leaders over his 2 terms, Obama carefully managed expectations and learned to play to the strengths and weaknesses of leaders. He measured them up at his first summit, trying to get a read on them, and then used that information to help him with discussions moving forward. Chapter 6. A Brush with Somali Pirates. After his first G20 summit in London, Obama encountered his first national security issues and terrorist incident. There would be many more throughout his 2 terms, but Obama remembers the first very clearly. As he boarded Air Force One to head back to Washington, he was told that a cargo ship, which had an American captain, had been captured by Somali pirates. Piracy had long been common among Somali and African waters, but the fact that an American was captain changed things. For 4 days, Obama and his national security team followed events and created a plan. Thanks to the fast action of the crew on board, the Somalis decided to disembark the ship after a few days, assuming it to be unseaworthy and a waste of their time. But as the American captain tried to escape, the pirates captured him. Obama encountered his first security issue with Somali pirates. With no choice but to shoot the pirates and save the American captain, Obama took little pride in the death of the Somalis. Obama had no choice but to take swift action, ordering Navy SEAL snipers to fire on the pirates if they considered the captain's life to be in danger. As the pirates came out into the open with a gun held to the head of the captain, the snipers shot. The captain was saved and the pirates were killed on impact. Media quickly hailed this as a win for Obama in his first major incident, but he felt differently. Obama constantly tried to think about the other side of the story. These pirates were very young and had probably been driven to their actions by desperation and mind warping by those around them. This happened all over the world, especially in the Middle East, where many young men were radicalized with far-fetched dreams of religious glory. Obama openly states that although the job has to be done, it's a part he never relished. Throughout the world, youngsters are often driven to drastic action by desperation and radicalization. Obama understood this when dealing with incidents. Chapter 7. The Affordable Care Act becomes a success. One of the flagship achievements of Obama's presidency was Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. Designed to make affordable health care available to all, including those with pre-existing conditions, the bill passed in 2010. Attempts to change America's healthcare system were nothing new and dated back to the times of Theodore Roosevelt. Over the years, the cost of healthcare had been driven up, and at the time of Obama taking office, around 43 million Americans had no health insurance. The Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, passed in 2010 and helped to make healthcare more accessible to all. Obama saw healthcare reform as something personal and far beyond the reach of politics. He was motivated to help protect the health of Americans after watching his family grow older and after his mother passed away. He saw the problems they faced and he vowed to do something about this major issue for many people. Healthcare had been a cornerstone of Obama's campaign promises, alongside improving the economy, working to reduce climate change effects, and making America safer overall. It was this that led him to be the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. He was confused at first as to why he was chosen, but decided to dedicate his award, at the ceremony in Oslo, to other world leaders who were fighting for positive change. Upon winning the Nobel Peace Prize, Obama looked beyond the award and saw it as a reason to continue fighting for positive and far-reaching change. Chapter 8. Donald Trump's Wild Conspiracy Theories. Donald Trump started to become a thorn in Obama's side during the second half of his presidency. It was at this point he decided to spread unproven conspiracy theories about Obama not being American and therefore not allowed to be the president of the United States. Donald Trump spread unproven rumors that Obama was born in Kenya, not America. The rumors were put to bed when Obama released his birth certificate, rising above the noise that Trump intended on making. At first, Obama paid no attention. He had been born in Hawaii and had the birth certificate to prove it, having shown it once before when the same theory came up previously. However, at this point, Trump's theories became more publicized and he wouldn't let the matter go. It seemed that every day he was speaking to Fox News or another network about something he knew Obama was hiding. Trump claimed that Obama had been born in Kenya, and other theories attached themselves to it, adding more far-fetched details every day. For millions of Americans spooked by a black man in the White House, he promised an elixir for their racial anxiety: Barack Obama. After a while of paying it no attention, Obama realized that although all Trump wanted was attention, his tricks were starting to cause disruption. It was for that reason he asked for his long-form birth certificate to be shown, proving he was born in Hawaii. After a press conference designed to draw a line under the issue, he told his staff that they were all better than this, and he was glad the discussion was over. Chapter 9. The End of Bin Laden. Throughout the many military decisions Obama had to make during his 2 terms in office, one particular exercise stands out: raiding the compound believed to belong to Osama bin Laden, America's most wanted. Bin Laden had proven extremely elusive and had only come close to capture once since 9/11. Obama was briefed that the CIA believed bin Laden to be stationed in a compound in Pakistan. They didn't know for sure it was him, but they placed the likelihood at 60-40. After tracking him for several weeks, Obama was faced with the choice of going in there and politically capturing or killing the man who had the cause of pain for so many American families who had lost loved ones in 9/11, or getting it spectacularly wrong. Bin Laden was the orchestrator behind the 9/11 attacks. Capturing him was high up on Obama's list of priorities during his time in office. Planning took place without the Pakistani government's knowledge. Despite the fact that they had been helpful with other anti-terrorism plans, they didn't want any chance that the planned raid would be leaked, allowing the man they assumed to be bin Laden the chance to escape. After several options had been drawn up, Obama was given the call and he ordered the raid to go ahead. Obama and his team, including Hillary Clinton, watched the raid by the Navy SEALs carried out in real time. Preparations had been made beforehand for the body of the assumed bin Laden to be given a funeral at sea, in line with Islamic traditions, or for him to be brought back to the USA if not killed. They watched the action play out in the Situation Room of the White House. As the Blackhawks bore down on the compound, Obama was tense and time seemed to slow down. After what seemed like an age, the radio crackled into life, confirming that the person in question was indeed bin Laden and he had been killed in the raid. Obama felt a sense of relief for families who had lost loved ones at bin Laden's hands, and the media hailed the raid worldwide. It is perhaps the most memorable moment from Obama's 2 terms in office. Osama bin Laden was killed on May 2, 2011. Obama was widely praised for his authorization of the raid and the chance to bring a sense of peace to the families of 9/11 victims. Conclusion. Barack Obama is a former U.S. president who is still much loved by many. Having completed the maximum 2 terms in office, spanning 8 years, he still plays a part in politics and was recently seen speaking in support of new U.S. President-elect Joe Biden, his former vice president. Throughout his 2 terms, Obama sought positive change and had a strong desire to bring people together in a world often divided. Though he faced many obstacles and admittedly made a few mistakes along the way, Obama made decisions with empathy and kindness, working to help as many people as possible. Whilst some politicians may have their own agendas to fulfill, Obama's history of zero politics in his younger years gave him an edge. He preferred to help and seek change that would improve the lives of future generations. That is what his legacy will say, and that is why so many people look back on his presidency with positive words. Try this. Obama often looked for ways to help others during his early years at Harvard Law School. How can you make a positive change today? Look for ways to do small good deeds on a daily basis and see the difference you make. Number 2. Despite holding the most high-profile job in the world, Obama has always made time for his family. Look at your home and work-life balance. Are there any changes you need to make? Number 3. Whilst you might not be able to force national change, what can you do for your local community? Are there any local causes you can get involved with and help to support those less fortunate?